All right, we are live. Welcome to the lunch break. This hump day, August, what is it, the 20th? I think it's the 20th, 21st. But anyway, it's Wednesday. So glad you guys could join us or will be joining us as this thing gets rolling. I know it takes a few minutes for a lot of you guys to get through some of the ads and stuff like that, but we appreciate you joining us when you get here. I see Jonah is already in the comment section over there on YouTube. Number one today, dude. Good job. Appreciate you like that. If you're watching on TikTok, hey, make sure you give us a follow at FNGO Outdoors. The Traveling Fisherman, I see you right there, buddy. Got a lot to talk about. I tell you what, last night's podcast, if you didn't get to see the live well, you missed a ton. Thad Moody with Thad Moody Outdoors, biologist from Mississippi, he dropped some absolute knowledge last night. A lot of juice. So if you missed it, you definitely need to go back and watch it. And for those of you that listen to us on iTunes or Spotify, I will get that up quickly. I'm behind a few episodes, so I will try to catch up and get that out there. But I mean, I tell you what, my mind was blown by a lot of stuff he said. What's up, Fred? And things that we never even think about. And we can talk about some of that stuff today. My plan, and we know how that works here. My plan is to talk about trust within the industry as far as your purchasing dollars and who you go to for techniques and all that. Hey, Danny, last night's episode was great. I'll be listening to it again. Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to go back and take notes because when we do these podcasts and I have a guest, I'm honestly learning at the same time you guys are. Okay, because I'm just like you. I do not know everything. I know just enough to be dangerous. Just enough to be dangerous. And so when you get a good guest and they start throwing out things, I'm sitting there myself going, okay, that's amazing. Yeah, I didn't know that. Didn't think about that. And so normally, and I've said it before, normally I don't go back and listen to an episode. I mean, I was there. But when you have one like last night with Thad, it definitely warrants 2 or 3 listens for sure. Jonah, I don't know. I'll go check after the show and I'll shoot you a text, buddy. And Doc Holliday, how you doing? Glad you could stay awake today for at least the first part. Doc, and I see a few of you guys are over there on TikTok watching. We're going to get into the conversation. Thad Moody is in the comments every night almost. I had no idea he was that smart and has that background. A very smart man. He absolutely is smart and one of the smarter guys we've ever had on the show. What's up, Bearded Bass Hunter? Appreciate you joining us over there. And we're going to get into the conversation. And I want you guys on TikTok to take part in this too because there's a lot to break down. But let me go ahead and do what we always do while we still, gives it time for other people to get on. Let's go ahead and do our day in history so that you guys will know a little bit more than you did a few minutes ago. Okay? James Ramsey, real quick. I think Hales Bar Dam is supposedly haunted, not Nickajack, according to the research I did. You guys are wanting to jump back into that? We might can do that. We can jump back into that. But let me get this day in history out of the way because you guys need to know this. And it was a lot of stuff happened on this day. I actually got 4 of them for you today. Something for everybody, okay? Something for everybody. Now, for those of you who are not believers, and you know what I mean, or who are not religious, this one's for you. In 1858, Charles Darwin's theory of evolution was first published in the Journal of the Proceedings of the Linnean Society. So there you go. So, if you Darwinists are out there, there's something for you. For you history buffs, in 1866, President Andrew Johnson declared the official end of the Civil War on this day. That's another big one right there. For you football guys out there, because it is almost football season. Thank goodness, because the Braves stink. So I'm ready for some football, and I miss it. But in 1920, the American Professional Football Conference was established by reps of 4 professional teams. 2 years later, with now 18 teams, it would be renamed to the National Football League. So if you are a football NFL fan, on this day in 1920, it started off as the American Professional Football Conference. And I don't know who the four teams were. I didn't look it up. And last one, okay, a last one for you out there who maybe you're feminist or maybe, you're just whatever, okay, progressives, however you want to see it. In 2012, after 80 years of existence, Georgia's Augusta National Golf Club, which is the home of the Masters, invited former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice and South Carolina financier Darla Moore, I think I wrote that down right, to become its first female members, and both of them accepted it. So there you go. There are four things, a little bit for everybody. Nick 03, favorite fall bait. You jumping right into it, ain't you, Nick? My favorite fall bait is not what a lot of people will think in bass fishing, but it happens to be a rooster tail. And I tell you why. It's not my favorite to throw, but when they get keyed in on little bitty bait over here on these herring lakes, I'm telling you, you want to catch some fish, throw you a white rooster tail. Now, that's not what I throw 90% of the time, but it will save your butt. If you got something that can, if you can bomb ass a cast out there with it, a white rooster tail will save a lot of guys in the fall. Still throwing top water and your typical stuff. It just depends on what you like to do. But definitely, I stick with the everybody throw top water early. And if it gets cool enough, on Lake Lanier, they might throw it all day. But you always can go down with your worms, whatever. But I'm just telling you, you should always have you a white rooster tail on the deck of your boat. Let's see. Coleman Jones. Got my surgery scheduled for September 16th. No fishing for probably at least a month, but it could be more than that. Boy, you're going to be ill. What's up, Doug? T. Toms, Jeremy Conkrat. Can't wait for football and deer season just to help get boats off the lake. I'm going to be in the woods for sure. I'm looking forward to it this year. James Ramsey, on this day 22 years ago, my dad died. Man, I'm sorry. Not a pity party, though. My mom raised me by herself. She used to drive me to Carter's and let me fish for hours while she sat there and waited. Listen, got to love your mamas. Got to love your mamas. Not only that, but most of them put up with their fathers. You know what I'm saying? I think my kids would say that. Got to love your mama. Okay, Tim White. The first four teams were the Akron Pros, the Canton Bulldogs, the Cleveland Indians, and the Dayton Triangles. Thank you, Tim, for that. Ain't that awesome? 1920. We've come a long way. The Dayton Triangles. That's a heck of a name for a football team. Just crazy. Just crazy. But again, 2 years later, the National Football League. I didn't even think about that. Let's see. Farmer's already catching them on the rooster tail. And Clint said, what's up, Tracy Coker? Clint said, only 5 hours to go out of my 15-hour ride to La Crosse. He's going up there. You're going up there for the elites, right? And hopefully you don't blow a tire. Hopefully you don't blow a tire. But that is a long drive. I know it took us forever to go from here. I had to go from here to Chattanooga to Glen Arbor, Michigan. And we did it. We just basically went all night. Did an all-nighter. And, oh, my Lord, it was tough. What's up, Peg Leg? If I didn't say all right that already, I'll make sure I get it said. Don't say that. Knock on wood. James Ramsey, there was a group of guys sitting around laughing when they agreed to call themselves the Triangles. I guess so. You never know. Look, I look at some of you guys, and I look at your names, your screen names, and I wonder. And even on, they're even better on TikTok, unless you get user 928561821. Crazy names out there. So it does not surprise me. What's up, Farmer? He's on TikTok today. It does not surprise me when you see a name like the Dayton Triangles, just based upon what I see on a daily basis on social media right there. So anyway, all right, now let's kind of get into the conversation a little bit. It is hump day. A lot of you guys are already making plans for the weekend, and a lot of you will be fishing. Hopefully I will be somewhere. I'll get to fish somewhere. I don't know yet. Depends on what the boss lady has for me to do. But I was sitting there thinking last night while Thad was talking, and it is hump day. I was thinking while Thad was talking last night on the live well, and all the information that he gave out. which I thought was absolutely fantastic. Many times after he would say something, he would say, but that's my opinion. That's my Google may be screwing with me, but that's what it said. I trust Google a lot more than I do myself, Tim. So it's probably correct. James, you're camping at Chattooga this weekend. Come jump in the boat. Man, I might do it. That's a long drive. Not as long as Clint's, but I might. I've never fished up there. But I was listening to Thad, and he would give this really awesome answer that you really couldn't argue against. It just sounded so true. And then he would at least say, well, that's my opinion, based upon what he knows, what he has studied and all that. And so as I was driving home last night, I was thinking to myself, man, he dropped so much knowledge. And he came across as someone who, when he spoke, he seemed very knowledgeable, very trustworthy in what he said, very humble in some of his answers until he got to messing with the trout guys a little bit. He did drop some juice for sure. And so it was kind of like, all right, I think he is a trustworthy guest. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, guys that were watching last night, when they were listening to Thad, how did they receive it? And was it something that they were like, yes, I did not know that. I can go put it into play. Same thing with Farmer or any of the guests when they're on here and they're dropping some juice. How do the people receive it, and how are they influenced by what my guests say? And just like that gentleman a little while ago asked me, what's a great fall bait? And I said, a white rooster tail. That's just me. I've just figured out that in some places when you can't get them to bite or they come up schooling and they're keying on little fish, if you can put a rooster tail in front of them, especially spots, they're going to nail it. Clint's always full of it on this podcast. Oh, shut up, Clint. You can't say it. Clint's talking about Clint. And so it kind of got me thinking, all right, do the viewers trust the guests? And that led into, okay, do the viewers trust the pros when they're talking about their sponsored products? Do the viewers trust the companies in their advertising about the products? Does it influence you to go buy something based upon that? How much credence do you give what they say? I think last night was the most active comment section we've had with biologists. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I'll look up to Clint. He's my hero, Farmer said. Yeah, you're lying. I'm trying to start drinking my coffee black because I'm doing the no sugar thing. It takes some getting used to. Are we talking about walleye today? Yeah, and bless that poor guy's heart. There was a guy that jumped on first time last night. He jumped right into a bunch of bass fishermen, and he wanted to talk walleye. And I mean, I couldn't find a place to get it in there. And then it was funny when he said, "This live stinks." And I'm like, dude, you ain't the first one to ever say that. But you did type it out. John G says, I trust a guest that isn't sponsored more than one who is. Okay. But what if he has some sponsors? I mean, where do you draw that line, John, when it comes to that? Like, I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're basically saying. Hey, if he's got no skin in the game, no way to kind of profit off of it, I might trust him more. But there's some very honest guys out there that are sponsored by a lot of companies. So, I mean, where do you draw that line? And that's kind of where I'm going at with this today. Coleman says, always think about what someone has to gain for talking about something. Thad wanted to share knowledge and gain followers. Pros want to make money. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little devil's advocate right here, Coleman. Thad's going to make money with them followers. When he gets enough of those followers, now it becomes a money-making thing. So I don't think that's his goal in it, but I'm just saying one could twist it that way. On TikTok, the traveling fisherman says, I only use gear and tackle that I believe in and actually use. Okay, my question is, who got you to use it? I mean, did anybody influence you to actually go buy the tackle that you use? Did you see it on TV, hear about it on a podcast or whatever, or is it just trial and error with you? That's kind of what I'm talking about. Let's see. Jeremy Conkright. Big difference in a biologist that sticks to just doing biology and a biologist that fishes. But Jeremy, he does fish. That's the thing last night. He does. He's a tournament angler. Okay, so he's a tournament angler. He's got him a podcast now that he's trying to get going. I'm not saying his intentions are to go make millions doing it. I'm just saying he does that. But he came across last night as very, very trustworthy. Doug Rice says, I don't trust the pros. I trust most of the guys that come on this cast more, like the guys, like guys like me that just love how to fish. The traveling fisherman said most of the stuff was either sent to me to try or is trial and error. And Farmer says, I think when you first start really getting into fishing, you're influenced by a lot. I agree with that. Let's see. Cleta says, I like when guests suggest their sponsor bait and also a competitor's similar style bait. That is very true. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good thing because then or a guy that's like, listen, I'm sponsored by company X, but on this lake, they didn't have a product for sure that would work. And so I used company Y. I like that too. Chandler Irwin, honestly, Thad taught me a lot, especially with the red books on things. Oh, hooks. You meant to say hooks. Your fingers got in the way. Yeah, when he started talking color, that kind of made me think a little bit. Now, we've always talked about color, it being different, and I've never understood the red hooks, but I get what he's saying. Kirk Blackadar. Danny brewed good quality coffee with some sea salt cracked in the grinds. I'll remember that because I'm doing the old cheap one today. Jandon Smith. I trust YouTube videos, not ads or promos. I want to see the action, not doctored. And then Traveling Fisherman says, and then if it fits my style, needs, and is durable and does what it claims, he'll use it. I get that. Tim White said, I spent $190 because of Big Bait John. True, but he is catching them. So, if I went out there, Tim, if we're being honest, I went out there with a big glide bait, you ain't going to buy it. But he knew what he was doing for sure. So I get that. Messick says, I trust y'all. Y'all somewhat seem to know what y'all are talking about with these herring fisheries. Somewhat, right? Tactical Bassin is responsible for a lot of my purchases. They've gained the trust. Trip on TikTok. Nothing is more convincing than watching the pros catch them on a bait. They use it for a reason. I got that. And R Turner 28 says red hook should stand out more because I've been told bass really only see red and green. Now, I think that's kind of debunked a little bit, but I will say I've heard that they see red and green best, and green being the best color that they see. We'll have to ask that if he jumps on here, for sure. But he did say last night that red is the difference is how we see and how they see. So, come to Murray if you think you understand herring and only largemouth. Toughest lake I've ever fished. I'd still love to come fish it. And again, guys on YouTube, if I miss a couple of them, type it again. Everyone that pushes Mega Bass is trying to sell you something more than help, in my opinion. Randy B being one of them. Coleman says, I'll be first to admit I fell for the Berkeley Craigs propaganda, and yes, I hate myself for it. Josh Burr says, I trust here way more. You can tell when guys give you genuine answers. They call me Collins. It's all a hoax. Nothing really works. Farmer says he's a big advocate for red hooks, especially on hard baits. But Farmer, you use them mostly shallow, wouldn't you say? Mostly shallow before it has a chance to dissipate in the water column. And I guess Wyatt's selling them. You spend $100 and you're selling them. Tim Hancock, I've said it a million times. Anytime anyone that has a monetary interest in fishing industry gives advice, you should take it with a grain of salt. Well, Tim, I make money doing this. I make a little. But you should take what I say with a grain of salt. I do agree with that. Local shop talk and great shows like this is what I rely on 90% of the time. Other than that, I follow some YouTube channels and watch closely. Okay. Let's see. Atlanta Outdoors. Funny that Zebco Cajun line is marketed as being invisible to fish. And Randy B sold the moon landing. It's very interesting because, I mean, honestly, that's what I was thinking when I was going home. Like, pull up any social media now, and you got guys, and we're going to call them pro staff guys, okay? They may genuinely throw that bait, but they're representing a company. Does that turn you off? Because I got a lot of buddies that do it. I spend my time catching with these products, not talking. Absolutely. Tim Hancock, I don't guide or fish tournaments, and I'm not selling or promoting anything. When I give advice, it's purely based on 45 years of trial and error on the water. Absolutely. And Tim, when you say something, I actually believe you because I know that about you. Fishing with Farmer below 10 foot, red turns to gray. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily disappear, but it does change. And I thought it was interesting when he said chartreuse. We always say, well, it's white, but he was saying, Thad was saying something like it's more of a silvery bright white to a fish. And I found that interesting. Alex says, I listen to people close to me more than anyone. You've got your inner circle, 100%. I get it. And you got to build some trust to get in that inner circle. Coat and Posey Fishing. I'm typically influenced to purchase a bait by watching someone use a bait in a specific situation that mimics scenarios on my home lakes and rivers. So you are, I want to see it guy. John G says, I have not had any luck with that credge either, Coleman. I don't know too many people that have. Other than this, I'll tell you this in a second. Chandler Irwin, crickets or redworms for bluegill? Thinking about taking my daughter out later this evening to catch some. My opinion, crickets, unless you're fishing on the bottom, and then worms. But if you're throwing a bobber on it, throw a cricket. Everything outdoors. Mason Roach told me to watch y'all. Well, tell Mason I said thank you. Now he just joined over here. Fish the credge like a riser bait. Now, Jandon Smith, I was going to say that. There are a couple ways guys are using that credge differently than what it's designed. And one is as a riser, keeping it on top, not doing that jerk bait thing, which that's the way it was, kind of marketed. Another thing for you guys, some trout guys are taking it out and using it in the rivers and catching some monster brown trout. And they're reeling it more like a Seville kind of or a riser like that, not jerk baiting it. But I've seen some pictures of some big brown trout caught on a Berkeley credge. Ever use a Jackal riser, R-Turner 28? Yeah, and it's pretty popular around here. Definitely popular around here. Credge on Murray is fire. Atlanta Outdoors. I like Jacob Wheeler's stuff because he pushes some baits he's not sponsored by. He'll say that in his content to highlight the bait. 100%. Mason Roach says, I don't understand the jerk bait thing. Credge and green lights is underrated. The Jackal riser is money for spotted bass. And Mason Roach says, I reel it as a riser. Tim Wyatt says, the Credge and Panorama, they have caught a lot of suckers. And they did. And, here's another thing. It was voted best in show at ICAST. That was one of them, pure fishing baits out there that got, Cameron Van Cletus is not a fan at all of Berkeley, but I have caught the pee out of them on the Credge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can. I mean, it'll catch fish, but there are more ways to use it. Yakin and Bassin, how do you like that Spro shirt? Love it. I love it, especially since they gave it to me. I put Tony on a few baits that I promo staff for, and he hammers them on them. The proof is in the pudding. It's up to you to decide whether you want to use it or not. Kind of like the Hellraiser. I looked at it and went, nah, I'm good. Still the most gimmicky bait I've seen in the last 5 years is the Hellraiser. The Credge works several ways. Roger Gibson says, yes, that Credge, fish it like a topwater. John G. Tim, I have the Panorama too. I'm a sucker. DP's Fishing Misadventures. Nothing on the Credge, but I do like the Chapo. Chapo suck too. Thoughts on the BBZ Wake Rat? I have not thrown it, but any of you guys, have you thrown the BBZ Wake Rat? I don't know about it. I know John Aldred likes the rats from Buka. He likes those. Chandler Irwin, buy your crickets now and feed them something that smells like apples, pears, tomatoes, and onions. Yes, it works. And he is a seasoned veteran of the fishing game. So I trust him. Can't beat old school bait. Still can get them today, and they still catch fish 100%. Tim Hancock, the thing to remember about the color red disappearing in deep water is that you have to consider water clarity. So deep in that regard is a relative thing. Also, the bait might get clobbered before it reaches the target depth. 100%. And that's something that we talked about a little last night. And what's up, Far Dog from Southeast Oklahoma? Appreciate you joining us today. And all you guys appreciate you joining us. The BBZ rat is a fish catcher, and that's from Jeremy Conkright in Kentucky. So R-Turner 28, it works in Kentucky if nowhere else. And boy, I tell you what, Doug, you're on here. Listen, Doug, you done got me excited about November in Kentucky. I'm having that conversation today. I've already got it figured out in my head how we're going to do that. John Aldred says, I haven't tried the BBZ. The Bull Shad Bull Wake and the throwback baits Wake Walker work great for me. So there's you a couple of alternatives to that right there. Let's see. Alex Purr said Thad said the same thing about water clarity affecting color last night. For sure. Doug Rice says, I do info videos on my Facebook pages, G4 Outdoors, just because I like trying to help people along the way. I make no money. Yeah. Yeah. And giving out the info, and you can kind of weed through who's giving you good info and who's not. And R Turner 28 says, trying to get one has been tough. Trying to get a fish on that or trying to get a BBZ wake wrap? Which one are you trying to get? If I think it can catch fish on it, I'll throw it. And Concrete says, y'all coming to Kentucky to fish or hunt? If everything works out, we're coming to hunt. The rat. You're trying to get the rat. Okay. Any of you guys got anything that I can help R Turner 28 over there on TikTok know where he can get a BBZ rat? Because I don't. But I'm listening to your comments, guys, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, really somebody's got to be, if it comes to a person, it's got to be kind of in your inner circle. And I consider this show and the guys, I tell everybody, it's kind of like we have guys all over the country that watch us from time to time and all that. But there is a cult-like group of guys that watch what we do all the time. They may not always comment, but they always watch the show because they'll come in the shop and they'll tell me, I don't comment much, but I watch it every Tuesday, every Thursday. And by doing that, they're showing that we've kind of built up some trust with them when we bring the guests in. And we try to get the guests that will actually talk and give out some information. Now, there's been a few guys that have come on this show, and I've listened to some of the answers that they've given. And after they have left, I've looked at the guys and I said, that guy's full of it. Very few, but there are a few. Farmers in a cult. Back to the promotional staff thing. I'll give people stuff to try for free so they can see if they like it before they buy it. And you do that. 706 Fishing. Don't have me on there. I don't know what I'm doing. Listen, I've got to get more females involved with our channel. And so you are going to get an invite to be on the show at some point. We're kind of hashing that out, how we want to do that. I've got a list of about 10 females. A few of them are national. A lot of them are local that I actually want to get involved with what we're doing, because you look at our analytics and it is 98% male, 99% male. And I know there's women out there that fish. I can't answer questions. I just do whatever. Well, sometimes that's okay. You just tell the truth of what you're doing. Danny, what episode was it you reached out to all men that just needed to contact you? It was on a lunch break, and I don't remember. It's definitely been within the last 2 weeks. Far Dog, I'm not 100% sure which one it was. John G, we talked about it that day. John, do you remember what day it was when we talked about that? You were telling me about your wife, and then we got to talking about, guys needing a place to talk, someone to talk to. Or any of you guys, y'all remember when that episode was? Because they all run together in my head. It was a lunch break early last week. Okay, yeah, I thought it was last week. What's up, Dino? But I think over time, guys that watch us have kind of built in. You want to say it was Thursday? Look for Wednesday or Thursday of last week. Wednesday or Thursday of last week. And then, of course, Jeremy says it was Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. It was sometime last week. North Georgia Landman. Yeah. I'm the quiet guy. I'm in the quiet guy club. Still scratching my head on Thad's answer that the bass spawn starts at 70 degrees. It's 80% over here at that temp. I think a lot of that, in low life pins, what's up? I think a lot of that has to do with him being in Mississippi. And he did say that a lot of times. It varies by location, but I think that's in Mississippi, because I can't think of any other reason. But you're right. By the time it gets to 80 here, it is definitely towards the tail end for sure. Is Macy Watkins on your list? She went to high school with me. Her husband owns some outdoor companies too. Macy was on before. Unfortunately, she was on with Ryan. I was not there that day. So I don't know if Ryan scared her off or not. I'll have to reach out to her. But Macy is one. But I won't. Let me say this again. R Turner 28. Anybody use bluegrass bug? I've smoked a ton of them on it on top water. Any of you guys ever used a bluegrass bug? Anyone? Anyone? That's what he says. Anyone? I have not. If you guys have ever used the bluegrass bug for top water, let me know. Macy has transitioned now, though, into more of the, it is still outdoors and all that, but she's getting into kind of, now that she's married, and some of her social media is more like, the married life stuff. So I don't know if she'd still be interested in coming on. We might ask her, but I really won't, I won't fisher women. Is that the right way to say it? Because I don't think you say fishermen, but fisher women. Just because there are guys that come in this shop and they've got their wives with them, and their wives go fishing with them. Her stuff is more clothing related stuff now. Dino says she still knows how to fish, but there are a lot of women that fish and they don't really have an outlet. And I want them to feel comfortable here, even though every once in a while I might crack an off-colored joke. They're just gonna have to get over it. But they can crack off-colored jokes if they won't. But we'll see. We'll see. But I don't want to use the word safe place. Get Hillary Martin on here and see what happens. Well, we've talked to Hillary on Instagram. I might see. I have to go find that one in the archives. Atlanta Outdoor said it was back when our internet was terrible, and it was down in the basement, and so the audio might be good, but the picture would go in and out, fuzzy. You guys have been with us for a long time. You remember how that was back in the day? It was terrible. I try to go back and cut clips for TikTok with a lot of that stuff, and you can't. It's unwatchable. Sounds great, but it's just unwatchable. We have come a long way, baby. Just got to get the ladies to tune in while Clint is on, and they'll keep coming back. Yeah. That was an old show. I mean, it's been a hot minute. Any tips on river fishing in Kentucky? Jeremy Conkright over here on YouTube. Could you give my man R Turner 28 some Kentucky river fishing tips that I could pass along to him? Dino said you could try Christine Fisher if she's not fishing a tournament. I have reached out to her, and she said that she would come on. It's all a matter of scheduling. That's the big thing with somebody of her stature. There's a lot of local women and that make baits. John, what's that? What's the woman that works with Buka that paints? If you're still on here, John Aldred. Yeah, she is crazy busy. A lot of Buka stuff is painted by this lady. I don't know if any of you guys know that. And a lot of the custom stuff, and I can't remember her name right now. Dino, that's his wife. No? Who you talking about? Buka's wife? That's his wife? Jen Gervaisi? Is that how you say it? Jen. I'd like to get Jen on because okay, he thinks is that Buka's wife? I didn't think that was Buka's wife. But anyway, I think she paints. And then 706 Lures over here. No, Jen is not his wife. So that's not his wife, Dino. That's not his wife. Unless Buka's doing something we don't know about. I'm just kidding. And guys, just to be fair, to show you that I'm for building up the entire community, I want you guys to watch us tomorrow night at 8. But if you're in the Adairsville area, Mike Buka will be up at the Tackle Barn, and you can go up there and talk to him. We try to support all our local shops like that. Let's see where else we got. I'm sure some of the Bassmaster her gals would be obliged. Kirk, I kind of noticed they're doing that. Now I will tell you this though. I don't want bikini girl fishing. I don't want that stuff. I don't want, and even if we talk hunting, I don't want bikini top girl shooting a bow. That might be your thing. But I'm married. It won't be my wife's thing. I can tell you that. So we have to get the right ones on here. All right, Walleye Channel is back, ready to talk spawning alewives and topwater walleye. Listen, I'll be honest with you, buddy. We don't know a ton about walleye on this channel. I mean, there's some guys that might. I know they taste good. Carter's Lake is really the only lake in Georgia that has like a real big population of them that people actually fish for a lot. Um, Slick Johnson's been on with me before. Our Turner 28. I'm buddies with Slick. You got to take Slick in little doses. Okay, but he's been on the show before. We got that episode. But does it have alewives? Yes, Walleye Channel, it has alewives. Lake Lanier has a few. There are other lakes that have them. They just don't get fished for in those lakes because generally, when they run up the rivers in February on their spawn run or whatever, then you'll hear some guys fish about it for a little bit. Like Dino says, I do know Lanier has some okay, decent wallies, but they're few and far between. That's why they're there. The walleye with the alewives and all that. I don't know who put them in there. Are you a boob guy or a butt guy? I'm a both. My wife has both. My wife fishes with me every chance she gets. Mike Geiger said, and that's kind of. What's your thoughts on Trait Zaldane? Well, get Eric Crawley back on and have him talk about walleye on Carter's. And listen, Walleye Channel, real quick, so I can help. If there's a guy in Georgia that you want to know about walleye, what's his Facebook page? Is it Lake and Stream Outdoor? Is it Lake and Stream? What's up, Isaac? I think it's Lake and Stream. But if you look up Eric Crowley, Crowley, on Facebook, he guides on Carter's. He could have that walleye conversation with you. He would know it. Let's see. My thoughts on what are you eating for lunch? Black coffee. Now, listen, I'm a bass fisherman. I know you are a Walleye Channel. We just can't talk. We can't talk walleyes. We don't know enough about them. You might have to educate us. We might have to do a walleye episode. I'll get Eric on, and you can chime in. We can pull you in. Trait Zaldane, very intelligent, very opinionated. It's not too late for coffee, dude. When you're 53, you can drink coffee all day long, man. You can. Raises your metabolism. I'm trying to get rid of some fat, too. Trait's voice gives me anxiety. Listen, I'm not saying she's not. Yes, I am too, Isaac. I am. Listen, it's way deeper than that. Well, we'll figure it out, Walleye. We'll figure it out. That's what I'm going to call you from now on, Walleye. Trait Zaldane is, but she's very intelligent. The woman is very smart. I follow her on Twitter, too. She's opinionated on everything, but what female is not? Okay? I can at least say Trait has some education and some knowledge behind what she says. Whether you agree with her or not, she can at least make an intelligent argument. What's the most weight you've had in 5 fish on Lanier? For me personally, in a team trail kind of thing, 21. I think me and Underwood were either right under 21 or right just a tad over 21, and we finished in 3rd. Yeah, so that's the most in one, like in a tournament situation. Sydney Wells, yes, Sydney Wells lives over here on Lake Lanier. She's on the list. Now, she is with Barstool. She's big time. I mean, she's big time. What day is Ryan's tournament again? It is September 6th. Angie whips my butt a lot of times. Let's see, you're getting the bikini girls on what would probably be the last show I would get to watch. The wife would disapprove. So would mine. I mean, it has, and like I said, I'm not saying you got to get ugly girls. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you want to get those that are in the sport that actually do it, have some skin in the game, and they're not just doing what we all know they're doing. Smallmouth, striper, and bass are feeding on them, i.e., in the coming up on the Classic on Teleco are fish. You talking about feeding on walleye? Is that what you're talking about? Trait can fish, but very opinionated. Blue Ridge has some good walleye fishing, and they've been feeding all night. Yeah, I did catch a walleye in an electric bass only tournaments. They've been feeding on alewives all night. Oh, makes sense. But I think Carter's is the only lake in Georgia, and I could be wrong, that has a big population of alewives. The majority of them have blueback herring, which are their cousins, but alewives stay deeper for the most part than the bluebacks do. And they spawn in March through June. That's about the same time. Let's see. I only watched the one with Christine Fisher was their guest. I don't know. You're talking about another one. What about Cher Carbassian? Don't know her. I'll have to look her up. What is the best lure to throw for largemouth and smallmouth this time of year? Cody York. Dude, that's a loaded question. Depends on the lake. And I can't talk as much about smallmouth as I can largemouth, but it depends on me. I know guys that are power bass fishermen. They're beating the banks with buzz baits, some crankbaits, worms. They're still doing your basic things. But then you got the offshore guys too that can catch them mintering. So it's kind of loaded. Jordan G said that's why you got to have half a mile of line spool to get down on them on Carters. They do come shallow to spawn. We have the shad spawn and the herring spawn here. But with Carters, they kind of don't talk about the shad spawn as much as other lakes around here do. Farmers, you ever eat anything out of Carters? And on the way they have Chris YouTube going during the elites, Christine's going during the Chris Zaldane's YouTube going during the elite tournaments is pretty cool. Yeah, he goes live, something like that, and it is pretty cool. I'm not the biggest Chris Zaldane fan. Nothing against him. You obviously have never experienced it. You think? That's what I'm trying to tell you. We have the herring spawn. Now, if you want to say I've never experienced the herring spawn, then you would be wrong, because even the lake in my front yard has blueback herring in it, and I've seen that herring spawn. But the alewife spawn, it can't be much different than a herring spawn. I mean, they're cousins. They come shallow. You blow them up. You can throw, obviously, 20 different things at them. So unless alewives do something totally different than bluebacks, I have experienced it. We just don't talk about alewives because no other lake in Georgia has them, but they all got herring of some sort. This show is so much better than stand-up comedy. I can be funny. My wife doesn't think I'm funny. She'll tell me that I'm not funny all the time. I've told my fiance I want to try and catch one, eat walleye. I would eat walleye out of Carter's. Yeah, I would eat walleye out of Carter's. And then again last night, you remember when Thad was talking, and he was talking about let me hit Kyle T's. Best chance for catching big bass in the fall, chick or nickajack? What do you guys think? Robleski, you still on here? Danny, the next sit-down comedian. Guys, I can't really be as funny as I want to be because TikTok will ban me. I was going to say chick. Jandon Smith says chick. But, man, I would. Some of you guys up there, if you want, I've only caught big bass out of chick. And the biggest one I've caught was like 5.5. I mean, so I haven't fished it a lot. Now, DP's over here says nickajack with a bunch, I guess that's what you're saying. Nikki? So nickajack? Gatlin, what do you want to know about chick or nickajack? I live in Chattanooga. So what he wants to know, Gatlin, is Chickamauga or nickajack to catch a trophy bass in the fall? Could you answer him right there in the comment section? And I appreciate you joining us today. See, we done gone off from trust to talking about women to talking about what to do. I'm wanting to book a guide trip for my old man. I tell you what, I'm going to message you, Kyle T, afterwards. Rob Robleski. He's an MPFL guy up there. He's an MPFL. He's from here, but he is now guiding, I believe, on Chick. I know on Teleco, Watts Bar, and one more. But I'll send you his contact information after the show. I'll send it via message on over TikTok. That's why I asked where you were from. Sorry, a topwater blow up from a walleye is like no other. Now, I have not experienced a walleye topwater bite. He says Chick has been on a downward spiral in recent months, but it still holds really big fish. And he's on Teleco, and I have fished it since it opened. Okay, I got you. Jeremy Conkrite says go to Chick Frogging. If you want numbers, then you go to nickajack. And I'm not as familiar with nickajack at all. But I back to Walleye Channel. I have over 1,000 since 1998. And maybe I don't live on a lake that has a population of walleye big enough to see them come up and blow up a shad spawn or a herring spawn. Now, spotted bass, yes. Spotted bass, absolutely. And it's one of the best times to fish on our lakes around here. But has anybody else in the comment section? It's nighttime. So the walleye topwater bite during the herring spawn is at night. Is that what you're saying? Walleye Channel. Nickajack doesn't see the pressure that Chickamauga does. Maybe you're right. I don't know. Cold night in March. Well, Walleye Channel. So here, Nickajack is a hidden secret. C Mix says, "What's up, buddy? Appreciate you joining us." Um, Here, like on Lake Lanier does have walleye, but people talk about them in February on the full moon in February. It's when they make their run out of the main lake up the Hooch, maybe up the Chestatee, some up the rivers, and that's when, for a short period of time around here, you'll hear people talking about it. Now, as far as Blue Ridge and Carter's, I mean, Carter's, you hear about it year round, but that's really, there's not a ton of talk, and especially not a nighttime walleye topwater bite. That's interesting. Nickajack is getting a lot of pressure now, and it can't handle it like Chick. And if my people knew I was talking, they would ostracize me. Well, listen, we're not gatekeepers on this, on FNGO. If we know something, we try to get it out to help somebody. Colton Posey Fishing. If you had to choose one bass species to target, what would it be? Spotted bass, largemouth, or smallmouth? That's it's interesting. Largemouth, Farmer says largemouth. C-Mix loves Nickajack. I bet you do. You know what? Just because I've caught a ton of spotted bass and largemouth, if I could go up north and target, now we're talking trophy size fish. C-Mix is largemouth hunting. I get it. I really, just because I've never done a lot of it, I think I'd really love to enjoy catching some of them big smallmouth up north. Now we're talking big smallmouth. You know, if it's down here in Georgia, you know, it's hard to beat a spot just for the fight. Now I realize the largemouth get bigger, but man, you get into a 4 or 5 pound spotted bass in the right situation, and that's just fun. But just like I said last week, when you go to a weigh-in, you can have a bunch of big spots, but when somebody pulls out that big largemouth, everybody around here goes, ooh. So it's kind of tough. Cumberland has alewives, and they spawn basically from midnight to daylight. We all go for striper on topwater, but there's plenty of walleye caught doing it. So there you go, Walleye Channel. Jeremy up in Kentucky has that. See, that's something we don't get to experience. Gatlin says, give me those Alabama spotted bass. I get it. Hey, and Jeremy, Walleye says, you know. So see, that's different though. I don't know of anybody that has experienced it. The only walleye I've caught in Georgia in the last year and a half was last year at the EBO tournament on Blue Ridge, but it was hot as crap in the middle of summer. And I was sitting at the boat ramp, kind of waiting for people to get back for weigh-in because my battery was dead on my trolling motor or my back motor, one of the two. And I was just throwing an underspin around in 10 foot or less water. And all of a sudden, boom, there it was. And I was like, man, this is a little bit different. It was about a 2.5, maybe 3 pound walleye. And my partner took it home and ate it. Largemouth, but the way the spots are taking over everything, spots would be more prevalent. Yeah, for sure. And here, I didn't think about this. Now here, John G, I'm going to tell you why. Because I've never caught one. That is on the list for me to do for the TV show. Shoal bass in Georgia. I'd like to catch a big shoal bass. I'd like to catch any big bass in current, you know, even stripers. I'm not a big striper fan, but they're pure power. I can't imagine hooking into a monster size striper in good current. But I know them kayak boys. I know you kayak boys love them shoal bass. And I'm very, very much jealous every time you guys post a pickup. But now that I've got my kayak, I'm supposed to be going down there. Gatlin, fun facts about Nickajack. First quarter of the year is some of the best smallmouth fishing in the South. I don't doubt it. You hear about it a lot. Walleye Channel, you would be amazed at how shallow a walleye gets. See, I would be, because I didn't expect to catch that one in the middle of summer in 10 foot during 2:30 in the afternoon. Definitely not on the underspin. Farmer says, give me a big bucket mouth over spots just because of my fishing style. And that's because of the way you like to fish, 100%. North for smallies, south for largies, and Georgia for shoal bass. That's a great combination. But you didn't say spots. I know spotted bass ain't in there. When I was a kid, Colton Posey said, we would catch shoal bass a lot, but now the Alabama spotted bass has kind of made them almost extinct. What are you talking about? Where are you fishing at? C-Mix says, gatekeep Nickajack. And Walleye Channel says, I'm talking like a redfish, so they go to that channel. See, Mix, what do you mean? You don't want all us Georgia boys coming up there to Nickajack? Is that what you're telling me? That's what I believe that's what he's telling me right there. Y'all stay down south. But where are you from? See, Mix, are you from Georgia? Or are you from up there? He's going, shh. I'm going to say Nickajack. What's up, Dylan Akins? I'm going to say Nickajack till you tell me where you're from. We're all going to go fishing. He is from Georgia. I kind of thought you might be. Looking at some of your socials, kind of seeing you on there. But yeah, a lot of guys like that Nickajack. Let's see, North Alabama. So you guys used to have some shoal bass in North Alabama. That's interesting. We have them here in several different places, but down in South Georgia, that is where that's where the big population of them is. We used to go to Nickajack before Chick. Okay, absolutely. We've got Kentucky spots, so I've caught plenty of spots, Jeremy said. Come to the Cumberland River and hook a 40-pound striper, make you not want to fish for anything else. And Nickajack is another grass lake. Okay. Listen, see, Mix, all you guys, I hate grass lakes. I absolutely hate grass lakes. Now, I've only fished Gunnersville, and I did fish Chick, but I stayed more out in the big water, and I was fishing those big rock ledges. Yes, sir. Upper Bear Creek Reservoir was full of shoal bass. Okay, Colton Posey, I did not know that. See, I have learned something from you today. I did not know Alabama had, at any time, a population of shoal bass. I know Georgia, it's like we consider that like our native bass. Gatlin says, come up and fish with me and I'll change your opinion on a grass lake. Gatlin, listen, you're going to have to do some work because when I was over at Chick, I'm just saying, I would have done a lot of things just to get back on a rocky point on Lake Lanier. Now, Alabama River has strong spots. On 8-pound test, you're having some fun. Yeah, no, I can believe that. I can believe that 100%. And that's why I like throwing the spinning rods. Gatlin, that means he has to put down his spinning rods. Farmer, well, you got it. Listen, why are you talking bad about that? I do own bait casters, my man. You know that. I don't like to throw them as much, but I do own them. Anyone ever been to Lake Cherokee in Tennessee? Anybody ever been to Lake Cherokee in Tennessee? I have not. What about shiner drifting? That's what I did in the farm ponds back in the day. Throw a shiner under a float. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you actually talking about drifting? Really, I'll be quite honest with you. Most of the people that watch our show, Walleye Channel, they're artificial guys. So I'm sure some of them do it from time to time, but the majority of the guys here, you're going to be talking artificial. Coleman guys from Kentucky go to Cherokee, but they go for the hybrids, not the bass. Okay, there you go. There you go. They tried to teach me how to punch over there on Chick. And granted, it wasn't the best weather. Good Lord. I was so sick after 2 days. Quit saying fairy wands, farmer. I was sick after 2 days. 2 days of just grass. And not one kind of grass. 52 different varieties of grass. I mean, it was just absolutely, like, seriously. I can't even tell you on here what I said to get back to Georgia, what I would do to get back to Georgia, because I would get cut off on TikTok pretty quick. It was colorful. But Farmer's over here saying fairy wands on both of these, but what he doesn't say, what he doesn't tell you guys is, number one, he has a fairy wand on his boat, and I actually saw you throw it on Lanier. You didn't throw it a lot. But there was a situation or two where you picked up that fairy wand. Drifting, yeah, but we can put some big smallies. Would you drift a shiner on Black Friday? I'll drift a shiner on White Friday. I mean, Blue Friday, Pink Friday. Are you inviting me up there? Is that what you're doing? Like after Thanksgiving? Is that an invite, Walleye? Let's see. Best lake to possibly catch smallmouth in North Georgia. We might do that, Walleye. It's still going to be probably Blue Ridge, even though that's not nearly what it used to be. You will catch some meanmouth. You'll catch some hybrids between the spot and the and smallmouth, which was interesting. Thad last night on the live well talked about hybridization, not hybrid bass, but spots are the one that can basically go to every other black bass species. Nick D. Fishing, Blue Ridge doesn't have smallmouth anymore, I'm convinced. I saw a 5-pound smallmouth weighed in a tournament last year. Now, I'm not telling you there's a lot of them. Farmer's going, are you laughing, Farmer, or what are you doing? But they draw the water down after the last home game. The TVA will be turning and burning, making money. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I mean, Blue Ridge is the only one you're going to have like even a half butt chance. But Jeremy says, Kevin, just go to Tennessee. I've caught smallmouth and chick. So I know it, and it's just up the road, really. I mean, it ain't that far. We will go back, Farmer. Jeremy Conkright says, you want 10-pounders at chick, shiner drifting will do it. Yeah, now listen, I'm telling you, listen, real bait, real shiners, bluegills, and all that will outfish artificial. There's no doubt about it because that's the way I grew up. 100%. I've often said that I was going to do that on Latham. I was just going to go out one day by myself because I still fish minnows for crappie over there. Run to the north end on Gunnersville. Yeah, they're there. But I've thought about just going over to Latham and actually just tuba crickets, catch a few brim, throw a couple out just behind the boat and just let them drift. Take me maybe a couple of adult beverages like you're not supposed to and just sit there and see what happens. See what I can get into. Have you had the pleasure of catching any meanmouth? Yes, on Blue Ridge. Farmer just threw me under the bus. Did he throw me under the bus? Farmer's always throwing me under the bus. I've been run over 1,500 times by that bus. Spinning rods. I've seen the pros use them on an entire tournament on TV. The pros. Yeah, you can do anything on a spinning rod. And you pretty much can do anything on a bait cast. It's just whatever your preference is. But on Blue Ridge, we caught some meanmouth, and they're interesting looking. The ones that we caught kind of look more smallmouthish, but they had the tongue patch and a couple other features. Not a true brown like you would see. It's kind of weird. Is the thermocline happening back home on tuna or Lanier? Yeah, the thermocline's set up on Lanier. Maybe not so much yet on the south end, but definitely on the north and mid lake. There is a thermocline. I saw it even with Farmer. When we did go fish, we saw it on his graphs. It's just, you can't miss it. Right now, you can sweat out a bass or fight a jumbo carp or gar. Tennessee has its species season. I didn't know that. What depth? Farmer, what did we see that thermocline? I know when I was fishing with Kevin Underwood on basically Van's Tavernish down that way, we saw it at about 35 feet there. But I want to say Farmer and I saw it because we were fishing up north, and I might be wrong. Farmer, correct me if I'm wrong. 25? Was it 30 or 35 foot? Was it that deep? Now, okay, so again, how do you go about fishing with the thermocline? Above it? That's that's the easiest answer is above it. Depends on what how you want to fish. You still can go down deep. And they will go under the thermocline to chase a bait. They're just not going to stay down there. On the north end, it was 25 to 30. Okay. I've got a meanmouth, but it's a largemouth and a smallie cross. I have never caught one of those. That would be interesting. Farmer says the smallmouth are getting more and more difficult to catch. Your best chance at a smallie is up the river right now. Or the Toccoa River coming out of Blue Ridge still has a few pure smallmouth in it. I didn't say you're going to bust them, but it still has some there. What does that mean for tuna? Tuna's a little bit different. I'm sure tuna's got a thermocline, but at some point they're getting ready to start drawing that lake down. I mean, it's probably similar to Lanier. I would say I don't fish tuna as much, so I'm not as familiar with its thermocline. Seems like the thermos are always 30 feet or more. That's about right, Chris. That seems to be kind of right in that area. You're right. It's happening right now on Sam Rayburn in 25 foot. Thermocline's at 25 foot. Has anybody got for Jonah an update on the thermocline on Lake Allatoona? Help a brother out. Far Dog wants to know, do y'all have any red-eared bluegill in Georgia? We call them goggle eye here in far southeast Oklahoma. Now, a red ear sunfish, if I'm not mistaken, in Georgia is what we call a shell cracker. They're not bluegills. Now, if you're asking if it's a pure bluegill, I've never seen a pure bluegill with that. Maybe they exist. I'm not 100% sure, but I know in Georgia, let me fix my TikTok here, boys, so I don't lose these guys. In Georgia, we got shell cracker, and they're red ear sunfish. That's kind of, I don't know what that woman is on TikTok. Let's get rid of her. Go back over to the live and resume. There we go. That way I don't lose you guys over there. Last time I was on tuna, it was at 25 foot and 20 foot in places. They start the drawdown on tuna roughly after Labor Day. Okay. Water temp on tuna was 86 about an hour ago. Do y'all know all the names for crappie? So the Cajuns call it sac-a-lay, whatever, sack of something. White perch, crappie, and if you're outside of Georgia, crappie. White perch, sac-a-lay, crappie. I think there's one more. I'm not a dinner. Kyle T says he calls them dinner, 100%. DP, Jonah, agrees with Farmer. Ever seen a bluegill hit a whopper plopper? Ricky Bobby. I ain't never seen crap hit a whopper plopper. No, I'm just kidding. Specs, that's right. Gatlin Specs. I knew that Doc Holliday said it too about the same time on YouTube. Paper mouth, that's another one. Okay, yeah, paper mouth. But Specs was the one that I was thinking, and I couldn't remember. But yeah, they're good eating. That was crazy. Thad was talking about 3 and 4 pounders on that lake in Mississippi. Can y'all imagine catching a mess of 3 and 4 pound crappie? The tacos that you could be having. Ricky Bobby said he's seen it at Blue Ridge Lake. Listen, bluegill they're that one fish. White perch. I thought I said white perch. I've caught a lot of sunfish on the 60 size plopper. Bluegill gets stupid, and they'll hit anything at some point. I've caught them on Ned rigs. I've caught them on the old fashioned floating Rapala. I don't know what gets in their mind because they can't eat it. Sometimes I think they just red ear sunfish. I think them bluegills just get. I'm just going to hit that thing for the heck of it. Just maybe it's in the area and I just want to hit it. Yeah. So red ear sunfish down here. Who the hell is Ned? You throw the Ned rig, Danny. You do. If it swims, I'll eat it. Love me some seafood, Farmer says. I think that's the way a bluegill is at times. But yeah, down here we call them shell cracker. And they get actually a little bit bigger than the bluegill. They fight a little harder than the bluegill too. I've caught them on a 1/3 ounce spinnerbait. Yeah, it's a 1/2 ounce. Okay. Well, I was getting ready to ask where you got that 1/3 ounce spinnerbait at. I've caught a green sunfish on a 5-inch fluke, 3/0 hook. I was shocked. The way we fished, I tell you what, because Latham's got shell cracker over here, it's got big bluegill. You can catch them when they're spawning. You can catch them in the same areas. And again, tuba crickets up in the timber, and you never know which one you're gonna catch. They're right there together. But the old timers around here, or that I grew up with, would fish for shell crackers on the bottom like catfish. They would take some worms and they would chunk it out on the bottom because to them, shell crackers stay deeper than the bluegill would. I don't know that to be true, but I do know my grandfather, my dad, a lot of them, when we would go brim fishing and they wanted to try to catch just shell crackers, it was a worm on the bottom. And they'd sit their rod just like they would a catfish in a little forked stick and sit there and wait for it to start running, and then boom. My home lake is 94 degrees, 1 foot below the surface, 96 degrees surface temp. The thermocline is 16 feet. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to get back to that. They have teeth in their throat that allow them to crush the shells of snails and clams. You're talking about the shell crackers, right? Now, Far Dog, you guys up in Oklahoma have been like crazy amount of rain this year. Because remember, it wasn't just a few months ago like your lake was 16 foot over or something like that. Just crazy amount of rain. Is the thermocline normally at 16 feet? Is that a normal thing on a normal year? Or is it a little bit different because the way the water's been up and down with you guys this year? Because I know you guys have been getting hit. like crazy. I would catch a bluegill on a drop shot setup, true turn hooks and crickets. Very smart. But I just always just do pencil float. Um, let's see. Let's see. Farmer says, have y'all seen the video on how much a wakeboard affects the bottom in 15 foot? I did see that. They do some damage, don't they? Not only do they mess up the fishing, but they do some damage to the bottom in 15, 20 foot or less. Yeah, I saw that. It was crazy the amount of just the way it would go over and just basically suck stuff off the bottom and just throw it every direction. But listen, it's a public lake. They get access to. They'll come up with something we do wrong, I'm sure. I was changing worms, threw the hook over the edge of the boat, and about lost my rod from a shell cracker grabbing my hook with nothing on it. Oh, yeah, they'll do it. Broke Bass Boys. He's an hour behind in Nashville, dude. Hey, come on now. Doug Rice said they start the drawdown after Labor Day on tuna. And man, boy, they draw it down. On Sinclair, I was fishing for catfish with worms and shiners. Caught a mix of shell crackers, flatheads, and channel cats. Yeah. Them shell cracker get right in there with them. And they're good eating too. Everybody has always said crickets or red worms for bluegill. And I've always used bobber Popeye jig with a wax worm. Wax worms work good too. They work good too. But it's just, I grew up, I had a little bait shop. Little guy it was a little concrete building. And all he had in there was minnows, crickets, tobacco products, cokes, and some moon pies. And it was about 1.5 miles from my house. Just an old guy out there in some overalls. And he'd always throw me in an extra couple of minnows or something like that. And he always had crickets. So that's just basically what I grew up doing on my lake was crickets. I wish I had $1. I wish I had the money back for all the crickets I bought in my lifetime. It's a crazy amount. Let's see. I update my graphs daily to account for wake boats. You might have to do that. They mess it up that bad. That's crazy. Thermocline on my home lake is 15 foot, but it's typically 25 to 30 foot July and October. And so he's in North Alabama. Once I figure out where all you guys are from, then we can kind of see, because our lake's a little bit different. How about this, Colton Posey? How deep is your lake? How deep is your lake? And would you consider it like a Highland Reservoir style lake? Because Georgia's, our lakes are fairly deep. I'm not going to say they're crazy deep. When will the thermocline go away? When it flips. Pretty much right there when it flips. So you're looking about October, maybe late September. South Carolina Cats, Saluda, South Carolina. How you doing there? We need to talk more about catfishing too. We don't talk catfishing near enough, and I love it too. Deep. I remember fishing with Catawba worms. Yeah. Far Dog says no, it's about 21 to 26 foot typically. So you are having an unusual year. And Twitch 81, hello from Michigan. Dude, I tell you what, I loved fishing around Glen Arbor. Oh, you bass fish too? Absolutely. Hey, there you go. That's kind of what we talk about mostly, but we all have our side chick, and that might be catfish and brim fishing and all that. But Michigan, I tell everybody, if I didn't have family or family ties or stuff here, and I was a single man, I could live at least during the spring, summer, and fall in northern Michigan because you got all the outdoor opportunities and the fishing is stupid good. Or at least it was when I was there. All right, so Colton, let's see. Atlanta Outdoor says if I find shell crackers, usually big cats are around. And Twitch says, yeah, you can get all those in a week here. Nick D says, imagine all the time people have wasted fishing in the thermocline or below it, below the thermocline. Crickets are elite. You just run through them faster and they don't hold up as well. It hasn't changed much. Still can do it all that up north. Yeah, we stayed in Glen Arbor for about 2 weeks, went up to Traverse City for a couple of days, fished Michigan, fished some of the rivers around there. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. But let's see, I'm going to make sure I don't miss anybody. My PB crappie is 3.8 on Lake Ackworth. That's a toad. That's a toad crappie. Now, Colton's Lake in northern Alabama, average depth is 35 feet, so it's not a Highland Reservoir. Smith Lake is very close to me. Also, nothing like that. Yeah. Where did I trout fish while I was up there? We did a 2-day float. We filmed on the Manistee with True North Trout, he was our guide. Brad Kosminski. It is a good river to fish. Caught browns, brooks, and rainbows, all on streamers, 2 days floating. It was great. It was great. Good food, good people. Everybody was really nice. I thought Fishtown was pretty cool. I did get sick on Lake Michigan when a little front moved through, and it went from calm flat to like 4 to 6 rollers, and we were trolling, and we had a little too much to kind of partake in before we got on that boat. Leland is amazing. Nick Urbas, Danny, Nick, how you doing? Let's see. Try to get back on this. Average depth's 35. So, yeah, that's definitely a little bit different than what we got here. And it all depends on the algae bloom, in my opinion. Those years when you're seeing a big algae bloom, the thermocline is shallower. Okay. Just watched Slick's video on the accident. I feel terrible for the guy. Which video are you talking about, Dozer? Which accident? Because I know there's a couple of them out there. Are you talking about the one that happened during the tournament with the young man from Georgia being the boater? Is that the one you just watched? Let's see. 3.8 ounce. Oh, yeah. Listen, hey, Doug Rice, you need to fix that. You put 3.8 ounce and I didn't catch it. Oh, in his driveway. You talk about when he backed over that fella? Because Slick's got several different ones. I think that's the one you're talking about. Yeah, 3.8 ounce is not a big crappie. You meant to say 3.8 pounds. 3.8 pounds. We've had over 3 weeks of over 98 degrees up to 102 every day. That's going to do it. Yeah, that was. I've talked to Slick about that. And he even talked about it on the live when he was on the live well that night. So yeah, that's a tough situation right there. And if you ever want to see the true Slick Johnson, you see it when he's talking about that situation. He's bigger in life on a lot of other things, but when it comes to that, you see him like that. Let's see. My father-in-law weighed in a 5-pound smallie on Blue Ridge last year. James Ramsey is what's your father-in-law's name, James? Because that might be who I was talking about. He did it in the tournament. Very sweet old man. He comes in here from time to time. 2 anglers got killed on Nickajack. Is that recent? And let's see. Roger says, amen to Northern Michigan, Traverse City, Michigan. Yeah. Traverse City Brewing. Traverse City Whiskey. Ooh. I got to go in there and they had a barrel of it that was 1984 rye. It was a rye whiskey. And I'm not the biggest rye whiskey fan, but 1984, and they only opened it up for special occasions. And we were filming. So I got to take the bung hole. They let me open the bung hole, and I don't know why they call it a bung hole, but it's a bung hole. And they pulled out a little bit for me and a little bit for this other guy, just a shot each. And what was funny is I can't smell from COVID. So, guys, if you see me on the TV show going, I'm lying my butt off. That's for TV. Got to do it. But I guess because it was made in 1984, I was supposed to take a little sip and, tell them what I get notes of caramel or whatever the heck I'm supposed to do. Well, you ought to see his face because it's on camera. I just downed that joker. I mean, I turned that 84 up, just boom. And he's sitting there like I just absolutely committed like the unforgivable sin, the unpardonable sin, at least up there at Traverse City Whiskey. But it was good. It was good. Nice little burn going down. It was good. I ain't got time for all that stuff. There was one on Pickwick, something about hitting a barge. Yeah, I saw that. He's talking about the one where Slick actually hit somebody with his trailer. That you have to go back and watch that one. But let's see. Oh yeah, Doug Rice. It was big for me. That 3.8 ounce crappie. Let's see. In the last couple of days, Slick has talked about a boat taking a barge head on. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one he's talking about. But Dozier watched the one about. I think he backed over a guy. Yeah, Slick Johnson, Cats. That's who we're talking about. He's a buddy of mine. He's a good dude. He really is. Don't listen. Here's the thing about Slick. He has a persona when he is on TikTok, on his live and all that. And he plays that as well when you see him out there like at Red. Last time I saw him at Red Crest. And he come up and grabbed me, and then we had a couple conversations about some of the stuff that was going on in the elites that was getting ready to come out. And but he's a great guy. He's a great guy. But there's a real man behind that. And he cares about a lot of things that he don't quite let on to. But he does have his nose in everyone. I mean, he's in everything. But that's right. Not when he talks about this one. That's what I'm saying, Dozer. That's when you see the real Slick Johnson. And I'm telling you, guys, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He can be a pain in the ass to a lot of people, but he really is a good guy. I didn't see that one. Yeah, take the drama mama with a grain of salt. It's for show. 100%, Chris. I think Slick knew both fellas in the Pickwick incident. He might have. Far Dog, you doing carnivore? We got this. I am down 4.5 pounds. It's coming. The Alabama Bass Council. When did you have Barday and Bill on there? It was last year at some point. Love me some Bill Payne and Barday. Barday's a good dude. At least he is to me. He's a good dude. Very good dude. I can't say, at least in my experience, I cannot say enough about Bill Payne and Stephen Barday. Plus, Barday's a big boy. He'll whip me. Let's see. Talking about the show, I want some crawfish etouffee. Yeah, that's one I can't do for a while because I can't have all them rice. Nick D, both some hammers. They are. Yeah, they are. Let's see. I did see where he was going off on high school. I saw the video popped up on my feed yesterday. I did not watch it. I'll have to go back today and watch it. But we've had guys on our show say a lot of things that made a lot of people mad about high school fishing in Georgia. And it's a very touchy subject. It depends on what side of the fence you're on. It depends on what side of the fence you're on. If you have a kid or are participating in high school fishing in Georgia, you see it one way. And if you do not, you can see it another way. And let's just say there are a lot of opinions out there. And the last time we did a show, I had a guest, and boy, good Lord, it seemed like he made half of North Georgia mad, talking about possible cheating on in high school fishing. Now, I don't have a kid that fishes in high school. I'm not at that. I am not Slick Johnson, but I hear a lot. For some reason, people like to tell me every little thing that's going on around here. And most of the time, I let it go in one ear and right out the other. Because it's hearsay. But sometimes when there's a lot of smoke, there's a lot of fire, Farmer, you're on that diet too. I miss carbs. Yeah, I know. I do too. I like bread and beer. I like beer. It's really hard. But he is sarcastic when it comes to Slick. But he really is. He's a good dude. And Barday, like DP said, he's always been gracious and respectful. I'm not saying he can't make people mad. And I'm not saying he's not made some people mad and not like him. But to me, him and his lovely wife have been just as sweet to me as could be. Now, Farmer's back on the high school thing. I think it all depends on the captain, in my opinion, because they learn from them. And I do think 95% of all of it, if not more, is probably captain related. Captain related. Yeah, Barday can, but I've never seen that side of him. And I haven't either. And that's a good place to be, right? It's a good place to be with a lot of guys I know on their good side. I've made plenty of guys mad, and being on that side of it, that's not a good place to be. Some of them I didn't care that I was on the bad side, but some of them I did, and that really stinks. When did you start the carnivore diet? Well, I started off doing that what was it? Clint Bartlett wanted me to eat. At first, he wanted me to eat a gram of protein for every pound of body weight that I had. Well, hell, I'm 240 pounds. I started off at 241 to be exact. If you try to eat 241 grams of protein in a day, good Lord, couldn't do it. So, because even with doing that, you still can eat carbs and stuff. You just have to eat your protein first. And I couldn't do it. So I have gone back to just straight carnivore, but I'm like a dirty carnivore. I'm not that carnivore that's eating a ribeye steak at every meal. To me, a hot dog is carnivore. It's meat, some pepperoni, salami, you name it. If it's meat, it's good for me. Yeah, farmer, you tried to do 300. Yeah, I know. You can't eat 300 grams of protein in a day. Good Lord, you won't crap for a month. All right. But yeah, so basically I switched over to carnivore a few days ago, but I tried Clint's diet, and it's a good diet. Far Dog said, okay, here's what I'm seeing right now on the lake. We're talking southeast Oklahoma. 15 to 25 foot brush piles are basically empty. The bass are 4 foot from 10 foot on boulders and shallow stumps. Crappie have been setting up in 10-foot brush piles. That might be kind of basically here, except our brush piles aren't empty. They just ain't killing when they're in the brush piles. They're not really slamming anything. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. Yeah, I mean, no buns. How about cheese? I do eat dairy. I eat dairy and I eat meat. Dairy, meat, coffee, and Pepsi Zero for the win. And I know I ain't supposed to have that Pepsi Zero, but they can kiss my. Got to be careful with TikTok. Lovely dairy air. Okay, I ain't giving up my Pepsis yet. Dirty South Carnivore sounds like a shirt idea. That's right, we could do that. Dirty South Carnivore. It's easy to eat a lot of meat. And dairy. I'd have to have cheese. Gluteus maximus. That's right. Dairy, milk's got a good amount of carbs. I don't drink milk. More on the cheese side, Carson. More on the cheese side, and specifically certain cheeses that are high in fat and protein and less on the carbs. That's right. I don't eat milk. I don't drink milk. So, I mean, just certain things, not everything. Do you have any type of workout plan? Hey, y'all want to know what my workout plan is right now? And the guy, John Aldred, he ain't here anymore. He can attest to it. Farmer said I've had to start drinking like 3 protein shakes a day to keep up. I was doing that too. Right now, I will walk. Them Cokes are going to give you kidney stones. I know it. They probably will. But speaking of kidneys, every time I pee, I do 3 to 5 push-ups when I'm done. Now, because I'm just trying to do something. Push-up is a great exercise. But I can't sit down and do 50 to 100 push-ups in one sit. And I'm 53 years old and out of shape. Ain't working. Okay, I got a B cup right here. I got to get rid of the B cup. All right? But I can do 3 to 5, and I'm 53 years old, man, with a 53-year-old prostate and bladder. You can get some push-ups in a day. I'm forgoing cheese and drinking Michelob Ultra Cactus. Listen, yeah. Eating so much protein that the wife and kids can't stand to be around me. Oh, so it don't do that to me. Doctor told me to get in shape, told him round is a shape. Broke Bass Boys, I always tell my wife I'm good enough shape to do 2 things, fish and explicit. But we will say break the Iron Dome. How about that? Break that Iron Dome. I got shot down by the Iron Dome the other night. I mean, like, crushed. I even tried to schedule it. Dozer 21, I'm 61, never passed the bathroom. But I do, look, I seriously. And our bathroom's big enough. I do my business because the door's shut. I turn around, boom, 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 boom. Pop them out, get up and go. And I'm trying to walk. I'm trying to get those steps in. As I go, I will add more things. Kidney stones ain't fun. I passed 4. That's a fear of mine, is passing a kidney stone. Now, I had gallstones, so I've got my gallbladder out. But I got put in the fetal position a couple times with a gallstone attack, the last time of which my wife said, I ain't putting up with this. We're going to the doctor. And by the time I got there, it quit hurting. So I was at the hospital. I'm like, hey, I'm going home. Well, they did some blood work, and I had an infection. And they said, nope, you're staying. And they yanked that thing out. I'm up to 3.5 miles a day on my walks. Very, very good. You passed 3 last month? Ooh, that hurt. My wife says to eat sauerkraut. It'll cut down on all that gas. Farmer, there you go. The Fish North Georgia dietary tip of the day. Eat sauerkraut, and it'll cut down on all that gas if you were on a high protein diet. And Broke Bass Boy says he concurs. He's heard that, oddly enough. My gallbladder ruptured at 4 a.m. Had to go for emergency surgery. Yeah. Yeah. And Dozer, my unit ain't big enough to be passing no big kidney stones. That will kill me. Okay. I'm just saying right now. That would kill me. I like sauerkraut. I'm in. I don't really like sauerkraut. I'll eat it, but I mean, it's not something I'm going to pick up off a buffet, you know. I mean, it's okay. I'd rather eat fermented red onions, those kind of things, but not sauerkraut. I think it's a fermenting thing. I think you can do that. No fun at all. I bet. I think I passed one, and thank God I was on Demerol at the time. All this talk of food and sauerkraut makes me want to have a Reuben sandwich, but you can't have the bread, can you? Are you doing that? Richard. Yeah, that's the name for it, Richard. I used to be a machine in the gym, but since my kid was born, I'm horribly inconsistent. My undergrad degree was in exercise science focused on strength and conditioning. Listen, I did heat and air for 25 years. You know who's the last filter to ever get changed? This guy's. And people will call me up, and they still do it. And they're like, hey, my air conditioner's froze up or something. First thing I always say, have you changed your filter? Have you changed your filter? My wife would get so mad. I'd come home, and the house would be just hot as crazy, and I'd go, and that filter ain't been changed. But I get what you're saying, Atlanta Outdoors. I don't know why they named them stones, because they're more like spurs, and that's what I'm talking about. That's scary a little bit. Colton Posey, if you want, I can send you a workout plan. It's a 5-minute workout with 2 dumbbells. First week once a day, second week twice a day, etc. You will shred weight with your diet. Colton Posey, Danny at FNGO.com. Like a good mechanic driving a hoopty. Listen at you, Dozer. Who do I think will be top 5 in the last Elite Series tournament? Okay. Who do I think will be top 5 in the last Elite Series tournament? Guys, I'm just telling you this. I don't know who top 5 would be, but I would be hard pressed to not put Trey McKinney and, of course, Chris Johnson in it, because they're going for AOI. It's going to be a tough one. If I'm picking somebody to win, I'm going with McKinney. Kid's hot. And I'm just telling you, he was close last year. I know that's the Johnston brothers' backyard. That's their place. But I'm telling you, that kid there's something about him that he may not win it, but I'm not betting against him. But other than that, the other 3, good grief. There's 50 guys that could be in that. But I think McKinney and Johnson will be in it for sure. James Ramsey, I was 13 minutes behind and wasn't even watching the live part anymore. Richard is his name. My wife that came by. Oh, I thought you was talking about when I was talking about passing a kidney stone. Richard, that is your father-in-law. If that's him, and that's what I'm thinking. He had that 5-pound spot in the tournament. He got teary-eyed because it was so big. If that's your father-in-law, he is a sweet, sweet man. And he ain't seen him in a while. It's been a hot minute since he's been in here, but he used to come in here a lot. I've got McKinney, Fothergill. Fothergill's definitely one. Is it Christie you were trying to say? Polinick and Robertson on the fantasy team. McKinney and Fothergill are good choices. I don't know. It'd be hard not to put one of them Johnston boys on there. But that's a good list. Jason Christie. You still can't type fat finger joker. But I know what you're saying. All right. Let's see. It's funny we're talking about this because I have a doctor's appointment this afternoon that I got to go to. Doug, we'll see you later, buddy. I'll be in touch in the next day or so. But yeah, I actually do have to go to a doctor's appointment today, this afternoon. Wednesdays is really the only day in the afternoon I can pull that off. So anyway, you guys, tomorrow night, of course, Fishing Mechanic. How's it going, everyone? It's going great, buddy. How are you? Tomorrow we'll do a lunch break again. I have not set up the show for tomorrow night, the live well, so I don't really know exactly what we're going to talk about. I know Thornton will be in here, and I believe Tony Collin. I believe it's his night. I think it's Tony's night. He'll be up here, and then we'll get a third, and we'll figure it out. So you'll see that on the Fish North Georgia group page. I'll post that tomorrow. I'll post it tomorrow. Farmer said you might show up. Okay. Blessed to be alive and going to go catch some bass to melt the stress. I can't think of a better thing to do, fishing mechanic. So I hope you absolutely slay some of them, and not in the anti-PETA, PETA don't slay and kill them. But did you do conspiracy theories last night? The last question of the night, you sent it to me on TikTok. All right. Yeah, my dentist needs to make another yacht payment, so he's got to go too. If not, let me know, and I'll send it by email. I'll check it. The only conspiracy theory question I got last night was the last question of the night. And then Patricia Leanshaw says, Chris Johnson hasn't made a top 10 all year. That may be true, but he is really good on this lake, and that's all I'm saying. But he ain't made a top 10 all year, but it's him and McKinney for AOI. Whoever does best is going to win AOI. I asked Thad if we'd been to the moon. That was the very last question of the night. And he does believe we've been to the moon. There are some things that he thinks that kind of messed up with the thing, but he does think we've been to the moon. That's kind of, we'll leave it at that. But I had guys asking me during the day yesterday, like, we need to do just a straight up, no talking about fishing, but just a conspiracy theory, whatever we want to talk about kind of show. Later, might be Tuesday before I'm back. Lunch going to be away this weekend. We'll be safe, and all you guys be safe if we don't talk to you. But 72 out of 75 checks, though. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's consistent. His brother beat him down here on Lanier at the tournament, the no forward-facing sonar tournament we had down here. His brother got on camera with us, but he didn't. He was a little upset. He had a top 10 finish, got paid, but he wasn't happy, so he didn't get on. He didn't get on with us. The fishing was screwed up after it all summer. So yes, we went. Doc, I don't know. I missed on that. Go Trey. I think McKinney will do it. So anyway, we'll be here tomorrow at 12. We'll talk about whatever's pops up in my brain. And then tomorrow night we'll do a live well. So Hunter Hogshead, let's answer this one real quick. Do you have any experience with buzzer rocks? I want to hear from someone that isn't sponsored talk. Does anybody out there know anything about buzzer rocks? Oh, the moon landing. I'm sorry, Doc, the moon landing. You know how my brain works. I do not have any experience with buzzer rocks, if I'm being totally honest. To be quite honest, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. I was going to ask that yesterday, message. What is a buzzer rock? Because I might call it something different. I'm not going to go till we figure out what a buzzer rock is. Somebody tell me what a buzzer rock is. It ain't those things that they put in the, well, let's see. Aaron Parker, okay, what is it? All right, so listen, Hunter Hogg said, Aaron Parker, oh, the live well treatment, almost like juice. Okay. Aaron Parker said, yes, it works. Is that the Palmer Parish 1 live well treatment? Is that Underwood had something that looked like a little pebble kind of thing that he put in his live well? Is that what you guys are talking about? Because he was saying that if that's the same thing, he said, yeah, okay. He said, that's it. I can tell you Kevin Underwood loves them. North Georgia Landman said Kaz likes them. They do work. So I guess I do have experience with them, but I wasn't on my boat. That was Rejuvenate. They have a spray for bleeding as well. Orange and white box, I believe. The packs are orange and white. I think that might have been what he had. I don't know. Chris Johnson, he might have. But I know he had something that he hadn't been putting. He's got that oxygenating system in his boat. But it was a pebble. So, okay. So that might have been what Underwood had. But whatever Underwood was throwing in, he loved it. But the guys up there, Aaron Parker said it's amazing. It's a spray. You spray it directly onto a bleeding wound. One little spray and it clots it off. All right. Okay. I know Kaz uses them Brooks, but just get more opinions. Last night, we'll end the show on this. Last night, we talked about something similar with Thad Moody, the biologist. We brought up Mountain Dew. We wanted to get his opinion on Mountain Dew. Pouring it in there, and it goes down here in the South, everybody goes, just pour some Mountain Dew on it. And what he said was, you can do the exact same thing with cold water, because cold water will make the blood vessels, and if I'm saying this right, I hope I am, constrict, and then that will start the cauterization process. Just straight up cold water. Now that's Thad. That's what Thad said. I don't know about the spray. But it's, I also heard you can pour G juice directly in their mouth. Maybe you can. I don't know about that. But that is what we talked about last night, because we brought up Mountain Dew for a bleeding fish, because I've done that before, and I know other guys have done it, and everybody believes in it. At least a lot of people around here believe in it. But Thad said the reality of it is especially if the Mountain Dew is cold, reality is it's that cold liquid that is causing it to cauterize and send the fish in the shock low in the summer. Well, you're not dunking him, because Aaron Thad also said too about ice is he doesn't believe in having ice already in your live well. He thinks you should put them in lake water and then add some ice and drop it down a little bit at a time, because if you put a fish from summertime water into a cold live well, it does send them into shock. I think he's just talking about, a little at a time on that. So I don't think it will send him into shock. But yeah, the fish does not get the caffeine if he doesn't get the Mountain Dew. Farmer does carry a Mountain Dew. Don't like to drink them, but that's why I have one. And Hunter says, I love using fin clips, but I swear they're the hardest thing to keep on an energetic fish. They are. And those clips, you got to be really careful with them, or you can damage a fin. But yeah, so I don't know about the other stuff. I didn't agree. Aaron, okay, interesting. I didn't agree with 70% of what Thad said. Hey, okay, listen. And listen, we are a safe space. Just give me one, before I go, give me one example of what you didn't agree with. Not the Mountain Dew thing. I'm just curious. I'm not saying I agreed with everything he said, and I don't always agree with all the guests. I find what they say interesting. But give me an example of what Thad said that you didn't really agree with. Could have been the boat flipping, because I know there were guys on here that didn't agree about the boat flipping with what he said. And I know there were some guys that did agree with him. I know Ken right here doesn't care about boat flipping. Farmer, it's like the boat flipping thing everybody's against. I knew like you guys wouldn't, you didn't think about that. Oh, my message would be too long and it's the end of the show. Okay, I got you. But listen, Aaron, then I still appreciate it. And that's the cool thing about our show is you don't have to agree with everybody. I got told I'm Switzerland. I'm supposed to be neutral. But okay, so Farmer Aaron said yes, the boat flip is one of about 50 things he didn't agree with. I love it. I love it. I thought a lot of the stuff he said was interesting and would require some more research on my part. I have to go back and think about a lot of this stuff. I feel like hot carpet on these fish sides aren't good for them. And I guess it just depends. And Farmer says, I will continue to boat flip fish. Sorry, not sorry. Atlanta Outdoor says the pursuit of an act of competitive fishing is hurting fishing. That's how I felt overall. People were trying to justify what they do. A lot of cool points. You're talking about last night. So you believe the competitive fishing's hurting fishing. Or you feel that's what he was saying. I will as well until I hear it hurts them or not. There's the boom, Al. I'm having fried spam on white bread with mustard for lunch. Al, you need to get on the carnivore diet with the rest of us, okay? And just get rid of the bread. You can have your fried spam and mustard. I love that. I only refuse to flip large fish. Save a rod, grab a fish, the fishing mechanic said on TikTok. I like me some spam, dude. I really do like spam. I don't like the flavored spam. Just give me the old-fashioned, treat of Hawaii spam. Straight up what it's supposed to be. Deal. There you go. There you go. We got to lose a few here. But anyway, I'm boat flipping a big one instead of waiting on a net. I don't catch large fish to flip. I get that. Me neither. That's why it's never a problem with me. I do like that both biologists I've watched supported eating bass too. Now, I will say this. That's big on that, and so is Colin. They're both big on it. and especially spots. Spotted bass do. Atlanta Outdoors, you just nailed what I was getting ready to say. I'm not eating a fish out of Lake Chattooga. Oh, you can. Chattooga ain't that bad. Um, Spotted bass make absolutely mean tacos, and you can blacken them things. You can do whatever. And a lot of people are really like they're overlooking the spotted bass. Um, Seriously, Hunter, it's like eating crappie but firmer to me. Yeah, they're good. Spotted bass are good, dude. I'm telling you. Now you do got to watch the water that you're taking them out of. But seriously, very, very good. All right. I got a doctor's appointment I got to get to. So I got to go. I enjoyed talking to you guys so much. We'll be back tomorrow at 12. We'll do another lunch break tomorrow at 12. And again, I'll figure out what tomorrow's live well is going to be. Gatlin, appreciate you hanging around. Hunter, you guys be safe. If you're on TikTok, make sure you're following us. Okay. I was supposed to be saying that. Traveling Fisherman. And y'all go follow. Hey, listen, go follow the Traveling Fisherman. He does some cool stuff. Much love and respect to all you guys. See you guys. I got to get rid of my YouTube guys first. I will see you guys tomorrow. Y'all be good. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you guys on YouTube.